This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 147 of Horsemanship Radio, brought to you by Omega Fields, the world's best omega-3 supplements for horses. Horsemanship Radio is a part of the family of the Horse Radio Network. And today we title this The Unlikely Bull Rider and the Exmoor Pony Story. It's interesting. This is Debbie Laux, and you're listening to the Horsemanship Radio. Thanks for joining us. Horsemanship Radio airs on the 1st and the 15th of the month, and I have my Jen on the line, and I have Glenn on backup. How are you?
Glenn's on backup, but he's not allowed to talk.
Oh, okay. All right. He doesn't have a mic.
Yes, you have your trusty producer here. We're gathering together. The Exmoor Pony Story. Who doesn't love that?
It's great. Yeah, it's really cute, based on a book by an Englishman who you're just going to love. He was a little nervous.
Two unlikelies today. The Unlikely Bull Rider and the Exmoor Pony Story, which turned out to be a fascinating story. But I think at the outset, the author didn't intend it to become an interesting story. But it did, you know?
It was cute. He's not really a horsey guy, but me, I impose that on every Brit there is. I think they grew up with horses in their veins. So it is really an unlikely bull rider, although she's a great horse person, and an Exmoor Pony Story because he wrote a book. It's really fun.
And I think we should get right to it, and we're going to do that right after we hear from Omega Fields.
Hi, Joe Camp here to share about Omega Fields. Omega Fields exists to help you keep your first promise to the horses you love, to care for them well. Nutrition is the foundation of a healthy life and supports all the activity that brings you and your horse so much joy. Omega-3s from flax are the cornerstone of that foundation. So, coupled with the finest ingredients in their proprietary Pure Glean flax stabilization process, they created Omega Horse Complete, Omega Nibblers, low sugar and starch, Omega Antioxidant, and Proventum Probiotic soft treats. Thousands of horses are experiencing a vibrant life with the help of Omega Fields products, including all of ours, a part of helping you keep your promise to your friends. Nutrition for a healthy life isn't just their slogan, it's their purpose.
At different times, R.S. Turner wanted to be a vet, a TV naturalist like David Attenborough, and a doctor. He also wanted to write books. He ended up at the BBC as a director of children's drama on the way to adapting many children's books. After years of working in children's television, he wrote this story based on his own family's almost Exmoor pony. Well, welcome, R.S. Turner. We'll call you Roger. Is that okay?
That's fine.
You're sweet. You're sweet to have stayed up late. We're calling you in. What part of England are you right now, Roger?
In North Yorkshire, a town called Richmond.
Yeah, and will have tourists visited your little community there, or is this kind of off the beaten track?
It's a market town of about 8,000 people, roughly.
Yeah, it's kind of small, but our producer was just over there visiting in England and went to the London areas and Edinburgh and had so much fun. And my father, Monty, he just skipped and hopped through London and over to Hungary, but then he'll be back for October touring your fine country for the 29th year. Can you believe that?
I know. It's a long time since he first came over here.
Yeah. Do you remember that? Is your horsey background, I know that you're a horse husband, we'll call you horse husband, goes back.
Horse father, really.
Horse father, that's better.
Yeah.
I like that. That's true. It's your kids that are into it, yeah? And do you remember when sort of join up kind of came on the scene and started to become a thing in England?
Well, I was first aware of it, must be about 10, 12 years ago, as recently as that. But I was very impressed by it. We were introduced to it by a woman called Sarah Kreutzer, who I think had trained with Monty.
Yes, absolutely. She's a certified instructor, which is an elite group. Yeah.
And as I say, we were very impressed. We had a problem horse who was an ex-racer, and she really hated going in transport of any kind. And Sarah kind of fixed the problem. She worked out what had probably gone wrong. She reckoned that certain kinds of trailer have semi-transparent roofs, translucent roofs, and as they were going under trees, those shadows crossing her head, which Sarah reckoned was reminding her of bad experiences of getting to starting boxes or being forced into starting boxes. And the horse really wasn't a very happy mare, I'm afraid. But we did our best with her. And we'd got her as a result of getting the almost Exmoor, the unregistered Exmoor filly she was then.
Yeah, little Sunny. So so that is so interesting. So there's transports that have sort of translucent materials or something on the top. That would be kind of disconcerting. I never thought about that. Ours are mostly closed other than windows on the side. But if she had a bad experience going into a starting gate, which is sort of a translucent top, if you think about it, at the races, that would be a little bit of a, we call it PTSD or PTSI over here, post-traumatic experience for the poor dear. How kind of you. Was it a rescue or was it just an off-the-track adoption kind of thing?
Well, as I say, we'd got the Exmoor pony, Collie, she's called. And we had her at stables very near where we live in Richmond. And somebody else had the other horse, who we called Bonnie. She was a flea-bitten grey mare, as I say, an ex-racer. And the owner seemed to be having difficulty with her and was talking about selling her. And my daughter fell in love with her and felt she could do something with her, which had already fallen in love with the Exmoor as well. And it seemed a good idea for us to kind of offer her a home. And we did our best with her.
You did.
We hung on to her for a few more years. I mean, she wasn't young when we got her, and she got terrible problems with her feet in the end, and that was very sad. I mean, we couldn't keep her any more after that. It wasn't fair on her.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think it's so cool that you have written about an Exmoor and that you have written about your experiences. I think it's probably hard for people to understand how horsey your culture is in England compared to ours, because we're around horse people all the time. So we think we kind of have a horsey culture. We tend to, be in that environment here. But when I go over to England, the extension of horses in every family and community is much greater than here, I think. Do you know that?
I've always thought of America as being very horsey.
Isn't that funny?
You have the whole Western background. You have the whole Western riding thing, which we have a little bit over here, but not massively. In the area where we live, there are a lot of yards, livery yards, where people keep horses. And there are some areas where this is true, and there are some areas where you can go for miles without seeing a livery yard. It depends where you are, I think. If you're in London, there are certainly some places around the outskirts where you can keep your horse. But it's not a lot of people I've thought in London who had their own horses. I don't think people in this country are actually, in practice, very horsey. I think they like horses, and they're interested in betting on the Grand National, which is one of the biggest races in this country.
Right.
And they're also interested in things like Horse of the Year show when it's been transmitted on television, which is show jumping and so on, and horse racing generally, which gets quite a lot of television time. I don't think many people out of the whole population really know much about horses.
Well, I'm glad you're helping out. Yeah, but I'm glad you're helping out. So what age do you think this book is designed for? It's called The Almost Exmoor. Exmoor is spelled Exmoor, like the Moors, yeah?
Absolutely. There's a large area called Exmoor, which is in southwest England. It goes over Devon and Somerset, two of our two counties down there. It's on the border, as it were. And that's where the Exmoors came from, the Exmoor Ponies.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more. I'd like to hear a little bit more about those. So I enjoyed reading the book. But and I'm not 9 anymore. But what who did you write it to? Do you think when you were writing it?
I was certainly writing it for children aged between about 8 and 12, roughly.
Okay.
And when I'd finished writing it, it came out as suitable for 8-year-olds in terms of the vocabulary and the way it was written, the complexity of the sentences and so on. But I think the actual story could be of interest to anybody, almost anybody at all who's interested in horses. Maybe people who don't have a horse but would like one. One kind of person I thought might be interested in reading this book would be somebody who would like a horse but hasn't actually got one.
Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why do you think? Because you get into the experience? Why do you think that is?
Because it tells quite a bit about what it's like to own a horse or a pony. It talks about the problems of having a pony. It isn't all wonderful. It isn't all jam today. You have to work hard at it.
Mm-hmm. Kids involved in the actual mucking out and the work and you talk about the different animals in the stable and it's very cute. It's very cute.
Emily is the older sister, and she's the one who's interested in horses and is passionate about them, and she does all the training, and she is described, and her story is described and told by her younger sister, Samantha, or Sammy. And Sammy has done some riding, and she loves the family pony, but she doesn't really want to carry on with it. And so the pony that was Emily's was going to go to Samantha, but Samantha says, no thanks, I don't really want to carry on riding. And then the family has a problem because they're not particularly rich. In fact, they're not rich at all. And the thought of buying a new pony for the elder daughter and keeping the old one on makes life very difficult. So it's Sammy who finds a new home for the old pony with a friend of hers. And it's Sammy who has the idea of going to a friend who breeds Exmoors, as it happens, and saying, wouldn't it be nice if Emily could have one of these ponies? And that particular one, because she does love her and she gets on well with her, kind of thing. And so it's all sparked off by what Sammy thinks. And it is actually Sammy's story, really. It's, as I say, it's told in her voice.
Yeah.
The colleague decided that my daughter was the best thing since sliced bread and fell in love with her, it would seem, if horses do that, if ponies do that. And my daughter certainly fell in love with her. And because she was unregistered, she couldn't be shown as an Exmoor, and none of her foals, if she ever had any, could be registered as proper Exmoors, even if the sire were fully registered and fully qualified and all those things. What had happened was a young, I think he was a colt, really. I don't think he was any more than a colt, was in close proximity to a mare, both of them proper Exmoors, and both of them fortunately not particularly closely related. And he managed to get to the mare and coupled with her, and suddenly the mare was in foal. But because he hadn't been registered for breeding, the foal was not able to be registered as an Exmoor pony. This is in 2004. The pony's now 15 years old. But at that time, you couldn't back register either the sire or the foal. So the foal had relatively little value, and as she became a filly, she had relatively little value. But she looked like a nice example of an Exmoor pony. Anyway, we took her on, and we tried to register her, and we were told we couldn't register her then. This was 2006. And we just took her on and trained her, brought her on, my daughter doing most of all the work, really, at that stage. In about 2015-16, we were aware of all the developments there'd been with genetic testing. And we thought, this is ridiculous. We've got a nice Exmoor pony. Why can't we get her registered?
Exactly.
And we went back to the Exmoor Pony Society, and they said, well, okay, if you can go through the DNA tests, and we can test the sire, and we can test the mare, the dam, who is her mother, then that works out all right. And if Collie's own genes test out okay, and if she can be inspected to make sure she conforms to the Exmoor type, then she can be registered. And this process is described in the book in part 2, really. And that's very, very closely based indeed on what actually happened to our pony with all the delays.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love that. It makes the Exmoor special too in the book, which is really cool because I think we over here in the U.S. anyway, I get a little lost in all the Welsh section A, B, C, D, and all, and the Exmoor is such a cool breed just because it's so close to, in what I've read, it's so close to ancient, and I know that you have a little spot. Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, that was always the story. They were always thought to be descendants of the original wild horses or wild ponies that came across to these, I was going to say the British Isles, but of course, just after the last glaciation, which is what people call the last ice age, maybe 11,500 years ago, the British Isles were still connected to the rest of Europe by a vast land bridge. At that time, most of the animals that we regard as our wild animals came over here by that route. Funny enough, rabbits didn't, and you see rabbits everywhere in this country. It seems they were brought over by the Romans for food, and then they escaped. Anyway, some wild horses crossed at that time, and they were hunted even by Stone Age men. Mm-hmm. Now, you can see pictures in cave paintings of various sorts in various places, and they have drawings of horses from roughly that kind of period. Mm-hmm. And those horses, the drawings, do look very like Exmoors. Exmoors have quite a lot of characteristics of the original wild ponies. And this, I think, is why the breed was believed to be ancient. But recent genetic research, again, more genetic research, seems to show that they're in fact descended from the same stallions as all the other domesticated breeds.
I see.
There is a little old genetic material, which seems perhaps to come, I don't understand all this myself, I'm not a geneticist.
Sounded pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good.
This seems to come through the mitochondrial DNA, which is from the female line, as it were.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And bits of that might be quite old. But this is not unusual among other moorland types. Dartmoor ponies, for instance, and lots of others. The some Welsh ponies and Scottish, the Highland ponies from Scotland.
Right. Yeah, they're beautiful.
But anyway, overall, it now looks as though Exmoor ponies can't be pre-Ice Age, or they can't be descended from the Ice Age, as far as I can see. I mean, after all, Dartmoor is not a huge area. Right. And if they'd been isolated for all these hundreds of years, thousands of years even, it's pretty strange because it's not the land that time forgot.
Yeah, you're not on an island, yeah. Not
well,
really.
it's only a tiny part of the island, really.
Right. Yeah.
Not very big.
Yeah, no, we just love your ponies over here too. We see the shows over there. I love the Hoys, the Horse of the Year show, where we get to see the pageantry, and you do them out beautifully. And for such a small country to have such a variety of breeds there too, it really is. It shows that you're sort of the international bus stop for horses, over the millennia coming through there. And I just love it. And I love that the back of your book has some horse words used in the book for kids that may and adults who may not know horse terms in general, but there's also some Englishy horse terms. And I thought it'd be kind of fun. So, how, is it George Bernard Shaw that said,
oh, yes,
something about that England and the United States are common countries, or
two great nations separated only by their language.
Thank you. There you go.
I think
and
that was
it's it. So true. And I wanted to ask you, because to me, you assume that we all know all these words in here, but some of them we kind of do. But what is barmy? B-A-R-M-Y. Barmy. What is
barmy? That? Oh, crazy, loco, I suppose you'd say.
Barmy. Okay. And okay, so there was another one that I read too. It was a leafy half-hour ride. What is a leafy half-hour ride?
Oh, through country lanes with dappled shade coming from trees hanging over the lane.
Ah, so you're going through the trees and stuff. Okay, manky. She was pretty manky for a princess, I think is the way you said it. Manky. What is manky?
Manky? Oh, it means dirty, old, not very nice, not what you'd expect a princess to wear.
Got you. Yeah, that was for Mia then, the character in the book Mia, I suppose.
Yes.
Is that why I pulled that? Yes, Mia is there's one Mia in every X Center, I think, equestrian center here too. There's one Mia who's got the best horse, the best clothes, and she knows it, and the horse knows it too somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but I love your character development in this. I think it's really good. And funny little things like even we say, I'm going to go blanket the horses. What do you say?
Rug them.
You rug
the
them.
horses.
You put rugs on top of them. I mean, some people over here know that, but not everybody does. So it's kind of fun. Oh. I felt like I was reading another language book. It was.
I'm sorry.
No, I loved it.
My last book was all about television production, and I tried to make that intelligible to both sides of the Atlantic, because I know in television you have lots of different terms for stuff we have.
Yes, I know. And you drive on the wrong side of the road, and all those things we always say and tease you. No, you don't at all. I don't know. You were first, so we have to yield to that too. Yeah, no, it's true. And I love your knowledge of the history too, and of the Exmoors, and that you put a little bit in that, just enough to whet a young person's appetite, maybe that they might want to know more about it. And that's what I loved about the different words is I like to learn. I like to be a sponge for these things, especially if it's anything to do with horses. So I didn't want to miss a thing. And I felt like that's what drew me into the story too. Even if I wasn't, the biggest horse person on earth, I still think I would enjoy this. And I think the photos in it are really cool. And tell us about the illustrator. She must be adorable. Daisy May Collingridge.
Daisy May Collingridge, yes, indeed. Well, that was slightly odd. In the middle of town, we have an art shop. They sell pictures and cards, greetings cards, jewellery, pottery, things like that, all handcrafted. Mm-hmm. The cards aren't handcrafted, but they're designed in small batches. They're not the sorts of things you'd find in the big supermarkets. And I went in there. I know them quite well. And I was looking at some of the pictures that they had on sale and prints. And I asked the owner, this is the Showcase Gallery in Richmond, I asked the owner, Lulu, if she knew any cartoonists or people who drew cartoons and were good with animals. Mm. And she said, well, there's this one, and she showed me some pictures by Daisy May, and they are amazing pictures. Mm. Even you can look them up. Look up Daisy May Collingridge at dmcillustrations.com.
Nice.
DMC, that's M for May, and D for Daisy, and C for Collingridge. dmcillustrations.com. Right. And if you look at those, they are really eccentric pictures, but all very clearly animals with character. Mm-hmm. She shows pyramids of them, sort of horses sitting on top of goats, sitting on top of monkeys, and monkeys sitting on top of horses, and so on. And you think, how on earth did they get like that? What are they doing there? There has to be a story there. Anyway, I asked her if she'd be prepared to do some drawings for me, and she said she'd never done a book before. She hadn't done book illustrations. Nobody had ever asked her to, and so she thought she might give it a go. And frankly, this is self-published, this book, and I haven't got to one of the big publishers. And so,
well, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon, so people can grab it. It's really fun.
Oh, people can grab it off Amazon, indeed. And in this country, certainly some of the big bookstore chains are advertising it as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other flyers in the States have it too. But, I mean, the thing is that it wasn't a big publisher, is the point, who have a budget for illustration and so on. And she did me a nice deal, let's say. So she was very kind to me like that. And I think she managed to capture the Exmoor, our Exmoor, extremely well. You've got the photographs, as it were, for the real part of the story. And you've got the pictures for what one of the characters is imagining, because it's told in the first person by the younger sister, who is less interested in horses than Emily, who's the one who actually does the horse training and does the join up and all those things.
Right. No, it's a great story. And how do people find out about you, or how do they get the book? If they go on Amazon, do they just put in the Almost Exmoor and and they'll find it? Okay.
Yes.
By R.S. Turner. And do you have a website or anything that people can get a hold of you if they wanted to know more about the author?
Mm-hmm. www.thealmostexmoor, all one word, TheAlmostExmoor.co.uk.
Okay, great. Great, good. I hope people will go there and grab the book, and I hope you're encouraged to not only share this, but maybe we'll hear more adventures of Sonny, the Almost Exmoor. Well, we can't give away. I can't give it away. So you'll have to find out.
There could be more.
There could be more, because something evolves here that maybe changes the title from the Almost Exmoor, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, Roger, thank you so much for joining us today on Horsemanship Radio and staying up late for us. And I hope you'll get to use this maybe to share it on social medias and let other people know that the Exmoor is a really cool horse and a really cool cause to save. It's a really cool horse.
It'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Cavallo Horse and Rider offers a wide range of innovative products that provide comfort, protection, support, and value for you and your horse. Cavallo's easy-to-use, economical, and effective hoof boots are available in 3 styles and 6 sizes to fit your horse's hooves and your riding style. Cavallo's got your back, too, with their Total Comfort System saddle pads for English, Western, and Tucker saddles. Look for Cavallo's simple, sport, and trek hoof boots and saddle pads at your local tack store, or you can visit them online at cavallo-inc.com.
Laura Moore, a 33-year-old Moscow resident who coaches the Washington State University equestrian team, stopped in Spangle, Washington in August with her husband, Cody Moore, and noticed a flyer advertising a mechanical bull world championship held in the small town along the U.S. Highway 195. While she had very little experience riding mechanical bulls, she had plenty of experience riding and starting horses since she was a child. Growing up on her family's equestrian facility in Woodinville, Washington, Laura rode all the unruly school horses and was coaching by the time she was 16. She competed in 3-day eventing until attending Washington State University, where she joined the equestrian team and showed hunt seat equitation, qualifying 2 times nationally, and was a 4th-place finisher. Well, welcome, Laura Moore. I'm so happy to have you on the phone today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for calling.
Good. You're calling, I imagine we're getting you all the way near Moscow, Idaho. Am I right?
Yep. Yeah, Moscow, Idaho.
That is so much fun. So I lived not too far from there. My husband grew up from there. I've been to the Appaloosa Registry office there in Moscow, Idaho, which is pretty impressive. And of course, Washington State University for years. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about that equestrian team and what you've done there, and that you grew up in Washington State. So you're very, you're a wild, wild west, but you're an English riding girl. I want to get to that. But before that, you entered something very, very fun, and you have a great story. And I'd love to hear what you did in August that some horsey girls never get to do, and they should.
I know. Oh, man, it was so much fun. I entered a mechanical bull riding. It was the world championship.
Yeah.
And anyone could enter.
Good.
But there was, I just saw a flyer and on our way home from camping in Spangle, Washington.
Of all places.
$10,000. Yes. Of all places. We just stopped to eat at the Harvester. And
that's great.
Yeah, there was a flyer. So I saw that and thought, well, that'd be fun. Might as well give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. So you put it in a calendar, from what I understand, like in your Facebook calendar, your husband's. Or something.
No. Okay. So yeah, my husband, I have 2 kids. So we stopped to eat at that restaurant and we saw the flyer and, kind of joked about entering and thought, there's a $10,000 prize. So why not? And maybe I should. But then 2 weeks went by, kind of forgot about it. But those Facebook reminders or memories that pop up, about 10 years ago, my husband and I, we used to live in Spokane when we did AmeriCorps, and we went to Spangle Days about 10 years ago, and that memory popped up. It was like kind of a meant-to-be thing, the Friday before the championship. And so that reminded my husband, oh, yeah, we should sign you up for that. And he called, and they were still taking, contestants, and so he signed me up.
He signed you
Friday night. He signed me up, yeah. I was kind of, I did want to do it, but a little bit like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like the night before. I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm so happy he did.
Yeah. It worked out pretty well for you. So what made you think, yeah, that's something I could do?
Well, I grew up, my parents owned a horse stable in Woodinville, Washington. And so we had lesson horses, a big school program of 30 lesson horses. And my mom used to go buy, she would drive out to Idaho and she would buy, just a horse in a pasture and she'd put me on it, and broke or not broke, I would ride the horse, about 30 days, and then she'd put it in the lesson program. So if you learn to ride at Gold Creek Equestrian Center, you're pretty much a good rider because we did not have the best school horses.
That's good.
But
I guess that's good.
Yeah. I just grew up riding anything, and then, I evented, and I did the hunter jumpers in college, and a couple jobs after college that I had were breaking and training horses for a Lipizzaner barn and then a Hungarian warm bloods. So I've stayed on my fair share of bucking horses,
sure have.
Rearing horses, so.
Yeah.
So I felt like it's a mechanical bull, it's not a real bull. I can do this.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They put a big sort of blow up, enclosure around you too, right? We'll put a photo in the show notes, but it does look like if you fell off, if you're not going to hurt yourself too bad.
No, you bounce. Yeah, it's definitly.
Yeah, it's like a bounce house.
I've ridden
That's what
much worse. Right, exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in the right.
No. So I wasn't afraid at all. I was more just not sure what to expect. Like if it says World Championships, you're kind of like, is this going to be a very serious event, or am I going to make a fool of myself?
Well, how they come
are
up with,
most people like me?
Yeah, $10,000 though. I mean, $10,000 sort of puts a line of demarcation in there, right? Somebody's going to show up that's serious,
right? Yes, and when I showed up Saturday morning, my husband just kind of dropped me off to check in, and you have to do this meeting and, on the safety rules and stuff. And when I was sitting there, there was, a cowboy, in his hat and his rope and his Carhartt, and he even had his, bull riding padded vest and chaps and, I think he was stretching and doing some push-ups. And I was like, okay, so this is serious. And I started talking to some of the other guys that wanted to just come down from the North Idaho rodeo, the night before bull riding. Another one was a rodeo clown, but had ridden bulls. And so then I was starting to get a little nervous. I'm like, oh no.
You came prepared with your painted toes? Is that what?
Yeah. I got my pink toenails and my English riding pants.
You looked perfect.
Yeah, I wasn't yet. The after my first ride, the other cowboys were talking about my yoga pants, that maybe it's the yoga pants that is why I'm staying on.
It's sticky
of
pants.
Course.
Yeah. Well, that's what was one thing that was kind of fun to follow your story. Although I want to hear it from you because I'm not sure. I'm a little disjointed on what happened first. So there were about 21 riders that signed up. Am I right?
24.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
4 were women.
4 were women. Okay.
4 were women. And one was actually a prior equestrian student that I'd coached at WSU. He lives in Spokane.
How fun. How cool is that? So one of your students.
Yeah, she showed up to ride. She actually finished 4th. So
I love it.
She was doing really well.
So that's great. So there's 24 competitors, and what happens in the first qualifier? So you had 3 qualifiers, is that, or 2? Or?
So your first 2 rounds, they add your score, and then the top 10 make it to the final round.
And they're adding your time before you fell off? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's just by seconds, just how long you stay on.
Okay. What were your first 2 times?
And I was 33 seconds and then 35 seconds.
Okay.
And I was in 3rd going into the final round.
Really? Now you have how many left then in that round? 4 riders?
The final round, they took the top 10.
Top 10. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're 3rd.
Yeah, and there was already they did a payout already for the top 10. So
nice.
I already, at that point, after the first 2 rides, had got
you were in the money.
$500.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was already feeling like, okay.
I got dinner at the Harvester covered now, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And did you feel you were gaining some confidence then? I'm in 33 and 35. You're sitting, pretty.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see, the second, where is it? The second I was trying to pull up. So when they added my scores, let's see, the first place rider, he did Mitch Chandler, who ended up coming in second the whole thing. His first ride was 20 seconds, but his second ride was 73.
Ooh.
However, the bull, they had some mechanical issues. So he rode, he was riding really well, but then the bull died.
Oh,
turned
no.
off. So then they had to start his time again, and then it turned off and they started time again. So I'm not sure how they'll work through those things, I'm sure, in the next competition, but it was still a good ride.
All right. That's really good. Yeah. So 73, he got to pick his highest time probably or something, right?
Yeah. Well, they add them together.
Right.
So
but then, So in the final round, you held on for how many seconds?
For 57 seconds.
Wow. That is amazing. So now, did you have to wait for, did you know that you had won it at that point, or did you have to wait for others to finish?
No. Yeah. So they did it in reverse order. So I had 2 more people after me.
Oh.
Yeah. So one being Mitch. And so at that point, when I was on the bull, because I'd stayed on for 35 seconds, and then I was like, oh, this feels like a long time. I've been riding this bull a while. I'm doing pretty good. And so when Mitch came on, I was like, oh, well, he had 73 seconds. He's probably got this. And he ended up riding for 52 seconds and then fell. And I was it was really just nail biting down to the end.
That's only 5 seconds. Or he was 52 seconds.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, and you've got 2 women in the top 4, I think you said.
Yeah.
Is that right? That is amazing. And what I loved, some of the stuff I read about the gentleman that put this together was not a youngster, quite experienced in horsemanship, and that he was sort of excited to do this co-ed because he thought you could. So tell me about him a little bit. What a character.
Yeah, no, he was very inspirational. I think, in the beginning when I was a little more nervous and talking with the people, he came up and he gave this speech before the competition started, and his speech was so inspirational because I think this was his own money to put this on and get this together, and it's just something he really wanted to do. And when he was deciding whether to have a division for women and men or to put them together, his speech was just, he talked about like starting rodeos with Annie Oakley and then Mabel Strickland, who was keeping up right along with the men. And then now Maggie Parker, who's a bull rider. And he just thought, women can do this too, and why not? And let's start here, with us together. And it was very inspirational. So that kind of what got me really excited and kind of a little more determined to take this seriously after his speech. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to do this for the women. I'm going to stay on as long as I can. I kind of wanted it more after that.
Yeah. He must have been so proud of you too. I think there was one quote from him that said, "You couldn't have scripted it any better."
Yes. Mm-hmm. He was very, very supportive of me winning the competition.
Yeah,
I think.
Really nice. Yeah. So where is Spangle, Washington, for people who don't know?
Just outside Spokane, Washington, Eastern Washington. Mm-hmm. It's just like 20 miles, maybe.
Yeah,
south.
It's a little suburb town. So, I mean, I'm thinking for that kind of money, do you think that your whole equestrian team is going to be entered next year?
Yeah, I was talking to George about that.
See?
I was like, I think I've got 60 girls for you next year, so you're going to have to bring the men.
That's right. That's right. No, I love that. So you've been in Washington State your whole life. So you've got this group of kids every 4 years that go through the equestrian team there. Tell us a little bit about what you do at WSU, Washington State University in Pullman.
Okay. So I was on this IHSA, so the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association. Mm-hmm. There are teams all around the country, and it's hunter jumpers is what we show. So equitation, jumping, and on the flat. I'm the English coach, and we also, through IHSA, have a Western coach for the team. But we travel around, in our region and show against colleges here in Washington and Idaho. We actually have some in Canada in our region.
Wow.
And then, we have our riders qualify, to go to zones, and then the top two will qualify for nationals. So I rode on the team when I was in college, and it's student-led. I'm just the coach. The team it's a club, so it's student-run. Mm-hmm. So it kind of disbanded after I graduated. And so when I moved back in the area 7 years ago, some of my best friends are girls who were on the team, have the same interests, in college. And I just thought, I'm going to get this going again. And so I was teaching a couple lessons to some college girls and told them about how there used to be a team and got them to put in all the applications and get it going. And so now I just kind of keep it going year after year.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is amazing. I'm so glad that you were inspired to keep it going. I can't believe that WSU even let that drop. But, it just shows that a little energy and a little excitement from one good person can make all that happen. And I love what happens at the college level in that, it enables riders to adapt while competing on different types of horses, right? Because you use the... Yeah.
I very much think that I can give some credit to my bull riding experience riding IHSA because you're just catch riding. You're just drawing a horse and you get on right before you go jump your course. You don't know the horse. You don't know anything about it. You just have to get on and go. So you have to be a very adaptable rider and obviously a very effective rider to get on different horses that you don't know.
See, there it can win you a lot of money in mechanical bull riding. Of course it can.
And that too.
I love it. Well, we are definitely going to follow this next year. I do hope that, is it George Chica? Is his
George,
name that we're
George Chica.
Chica? Okay, good.
He is hoping to run this again next year. So either in Spangle or Pullman, Moscow area even.
Oh, wow. So Wouldn't that be fun to get the college people out there too and enjoying it? Yeah. I just don't see a lot of mechanical bulls out there in Los Angeles and other places. So people are going to have to travel and come see your area and meet you. And I think you're an inspiration. I know that George is an inspiration to everybody. I'm so glad that he thought of this and put up the money for it. It's a great way to show that men and women strength and horses, I think we're taking over the world. I don't know, Laura. I think the women can do this. There's more
pretty
women.
Acrobatic.
Pretty acrobatic. And I think there's just a lot of women in horses too. So, we're overwhelming them with numbers too. And I'm really glad that you're out there leading the future of horsemanship forward.
Yes. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, especially getting all the excitement from this story. I'm hoping to keep spreading the word and getting more people to come do this.
Oh, well, good. How do people follow you? Do you have a social media site or anything where people can say hi?
Oh, God, I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, that's good.
But I don't have a Twitter, actually.
Facebook's good. So you're Laura Moore at Facebook, or do you have a equestrian? Okay.
Yes, Laura Moore.
On Facebook.
With Bagby is my maiden name. Yes.
Okay, Bagsy. And look her up on the results of the WSU equestrian team, Washington State University in Pullman, Washington. And good luck to you. Follow up. If you've got any more stories like this one, let us know. We'd love to actually highlight you too as often as we can, Laura.
All right. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Whisper the language of the herd. Listen, you don't have to say a word.
It's time for Jamie Jennings to fetch an email from Monty Roberts' inbox and share a morsel of Monty's wisdom in a little segment we like to call Ask Monty.
Leave this world a better place than mine. The magic in the language.
Dear Monty, do you recommend martingales, draw reins, tie downs, or chambons? Monty's answer. I would like you to think about this answer carefully. I am being asked here for an opinion on equipment that is fully extrinsic. I believe that a horse properly trained by my methods virtually never needs one of these. If I were asked if I have ever found them to be helpful, I would have to answer honestly that at one time or another, I might have found all of them to be helpful. It is difficult ever to say never, but the need for extrinsic equipment, that is, equipment which forces the horse to do it, should be used very sparingly. If you get your methods right, you almost never have to use it.
For more of these insights into good horsemanship, go to www.montyroberts.com and click on the orange banner that says Get Free Horse Tips.
Hi, I'm Monty Roberts, and I'm dedicated to training horses without pain. You can learn to do it too on my Equus Online University. Western, English, the beginner, or the advanced rider. It doesn't matter. You can connect with other students online too, on our forum, and there's a new lesson every week. It's a lifetime of learning for you on my Equus Online University at montyroberts.com.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Where in the world is Monty Roberts?
Monty is looking forward to meeting some new friends, two-legged and four-legged, coming right up November 16 and 17. He's going to be in Warsaw, Poland. So if you're going, you better jump on a plane quick. And he's also going to be at the Horse Sense and Healing Clinic back at Flag Is Up Farms on December 13, 14, and 15, the last one of the year.
Woohoo! Things wrapping up the end of the year. For Horse Sense and Healing, we have the facilitators, the folks at Flag Is Up Farms, who are trained facilitators for the Horse Sense and Healing. And then you have the students or clients who are there to gain insight into their own life by taking the clinic. Do you also have observers, or is it just those two groups?
You know, they're important groups. And what we have is we have instructors like Jamie Jennings. And at this last one, we had Ellie Boardman, who flew in from the UK. So even though Jamie thought she flew a long way from Oklahoma, actually, Ellie flew all the way from the UK for just the 3 days, too. But that's a huge, important element. Then we also have the facilitators, what I call the facilitators, where we have clinical social workers, psychology degrees, and we have 2 or 3 of those at any one time with, initials before and after their name. And then we have supporters. That is somebody, it might be a husband, a wife, a daughter, a brother. Those we encourage as strongly as we encourage the 4th group, which is participants. So the participants are hugely important. Well, I've got to count the volunteers in there too, because the volunteers are generally trained in motivational interviewing, and we do a little bit of training on our volunteers so that not only are they good horse handlers, but they're also very good listeners and good, they start the conversations and they let the participants go ahead and process what a join-up does for them. So it's got a hugely important several categories of people that come together.
It's a fascinating program that you've got going. So if Horse Sense and Healing, which is using horses to facilitate the healing of persons with post-traumatic stress, whatever the cause, if that is a topic that fascinates you, I would encourage you to contact Flags Up Farm and see if there's a way that you can help contribute to that, because I think that would be great. And you can contact Flags Up Farms by going to montyroberts.com. All the contact information is there. Or you can give them a call on the phone, and that's 805-688-6288. And again, if you didn't get that number, you go to montyroberts.com, and that's there too. And that's for details about today's show, go to horsemanshipradio.com. That's where you're going to find all of the episodes of the Horsemanship Radio Show. And you're going to find links, photos, and more information about guests from every single episode. This one happens to be number 147. And we love your feedback. Follow Monty on Facebook by typing in Monty Roberts and clicking on the official Monty Roberts page. You can follow him on Twitter at Monty_Roberts and the same on Instagram. Go out and get the app so you don't miss any shows. Help your friends get the app for your iPhone or your Android. Go to your app store, search Horse Radio Network, download it today. It's easy.
We're everywhere. And many thanks to our sponsors, too. That's Cavallo Horse and Rider, our title sponsor, which is Omega Fields. And then there's Monty Roberts University. These guys are very loyal. Please support them. And be sure to visit all the other great shows, too, on the Horse Radio Network at www.horseradionetwork.com. Until next time, have many happy horse hours.